Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, we have reached out to the consultant and they've made, I think, 2 or 3 recommendations in terms of the treatment of the crosswalk. So that is a possibility. Yes.
I'll just add something too. We had a resident, I think, email all of council this week suggesting some advance warning of that corner, not only the crosswalk and all the action going on there, but the speeds are, it might be a little too late to slow down because the speeds are substantial coming down to that corner. So perhaps there's some sort of signage or something that warns them of this crosswalk coming up. I don't know if that's there, but the resident, I thought it was a good idea. So is that there, or is that being considered?
It's being considered, yes, just maybe direction from council.
Yes, Mayor Ostrander, you have a comment.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you, I'd be echoing Councillor Ferretis's comment. So I would simply ask if the mover and seconder would wish to add a friendly amendment to this motion that council directs staff to add warning lights and additional signage in advance of Neil Pert Lane for the crosswalk infrastructure project.
Would anyone wish to follow through on that, make that motion?
I'll second.
But did you get that from? Okay, so where we're at is Councilor Ferretis is making a motion to amend it. Okay. This is the crosswalk or the Young Street, yes.
They want to make an amendment?
Deputy Mayor, I was asking if the mover and seconder would simply add a friendly amendment to their motion to that effect, but I mean, it's procedurally accurate what you're doing, but a lot simpler if mover and seconder are willing to just go ahead.
Let's keep it simple. Is that okay with everyone that we do that? Thank you. And Warren. Considered or be done. Okay, so I'll read this motion. It's with the amendment. First, it's moved by Councillor Wright and seconded by Councillor Wilden. The council receive staff report. Are we going to act on this, or do we support this? Mayor Ostrander, help me out on this. Should this be?
No, we'd simply be receiving the staff report and providing direction to staff for the additional signage and lighting.
Okay, thank you. The council received staff report and update on the new Young Street sidewalk between Neil Pert Lane and 58 Young Street for information purposes. However, it's been added to advance the warnings to the crosswalk to be added and lighting on the crosswalk to be added. All those in favor? Thank you. Carrie. You're up again, Leslie. 9.3 Public Works and Infrastructure Community Safety Zone from County Road 30 to 600 meters to the west of the intersection. Would you like to discuss that? Or bring us up to date on that?
This is on Goodridge Road.
Yes.
From County Road 30, going 600 meters west of there. It's a little bit tiny bit built up. It's rural area, but it's a little bit built up in relation to a rural road. That's safe.
Well, I'd like to thank the residents in that area that actually did come to council about this and pointed out some good reasons for us to look at this. And I appreciate Public Works and the bylaws putting that together. So I'll read the motion here. Moved by Byron Ferretis and seconded by Ann Butwell, that the council receives the staff report and approves to implement and install a community safety zone from just east of the intersection of County Road 30 and Goodrich Road to 600 meters east of the intersection. The implementation of a community safety zone is indicated on Schedule A and the draft bylaw. All those in favor? No one's denied. Carried. Okay, our next item, number 9.4, is from the clerk's department. It's for the closed meeting protocol. So I will ask Candace, is that something you wish to speak on?
Yep, but I don't have anything to speak about.
Okay. And I believe okay, the council received the staff report, and you just heard it right there, and adopt the closed session protocol as attached in the report. And then we have a second motion here from Byron Ferretis and Ann Butwell, that council refer to staff the closed session protocol and attach this report until such time as the closed meeting investigator, excuse me, my mistake, writes their report. So referring, right? All in favor of that? Go
I
ahead.
have a little bit of clarification on that second recommendation. I am now totally confused. I was already wondering why. I really don't think that we have contravened anything earlier, so it's fine that we have a report from the Integrity Commissioner. But this second recommendation, whatever it is, I'm like, it's gone over my head now. So I'd like some clarification before I vote. Thank you.
Well, I think we can ask.
Just to further clarify, Councillor, we don't yet have the report from the Integrity Commissioner.
Yes.
So the motion to defer until we do have it, to make sure that whatever is in the closed meeting protocol aligns with the instructions from the Integrity Commissioner. So we don't have to go back and fix it later if we've missed anything. That's all.
But didn't we already do that at some point? Didn't we already have some of this training as far as closed session meetings go?
Sorry, Emily. So there was a complaint to the investigator about how we do our closed meetings and how we don't rise and report in a proper protocol way, like in a proper procedure. So we were recommended to put a protocol together, which we were already creating. But so staff or council just wants to have it vetted by the Integrity Commissioner, which I have already given it to them, and it was written by them, majority of this. So they just want it to come when they come and bring their report to council, which they're bringing them in September. They can then speak to this. Okay, and then we can pass the resolution at that time. Okay. Correct. Anne?
Are you satisfied with that answer? So go ahead, Councillor. Go ahead, Mayor.
I've been called worse, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. And through you. So this report has been vetted by the Integrity Commissioner, our closed session investigator. Is that what I heard correctly? I see Candace shaking her head yes.
Yes, they do have it. And it is the one that they wrote for the county. So it is theirs.
Right. Yeah, I see that the report essentially reflects the current county protocols.
Right.
so what, I'm not sure why we'd wait. I don't understand why we would wait until September to proceed with correcting what may be wrong and carrying on doing, we're not doing anything wrong at the end of the day. I understand that, but this it buttons it down a little bit more. And I don't understand why we wouldn't just pass this tonight, carry on with new procedures, knowing that the Integrity Commissioner, our closed session investigator, has essentially made these exact recommendations to another level of government that we work with.
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, go ahead.
Thank you. From the report that we had, it was not clear that the Integrity Commissioner had commented on this. I've just read the report again. Does
So
it?
that report was done before this investigation and before they contacted me
Right.
to discuss these complaints that have been brought out. So that will not be part of that report that you've already received. That report will come in September. They will probably provide another report. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
they will do at this point.
I guess my point was just that before Ryan asked that question a moment ago, I did not realize that the Integrity Commissioner had already seen and signed off on this. So, Councillor Butwell.
Council Butwell, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair. So as I understand it, in speaking with our clerk, the majority of that wording was provided by the closed session investigator or integrity commissioner, and that you added some information, some scripting in there, that you had provided it to them but had not received comment back in its entirety. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So this has been partially vetted, not fully vetted.
Yeah. So like the whole entire document,
Mhm.
it was written for the county
Mhm.
through the integrity commissioner. We share the same integrity commissioner,
Mhm.
our
Yes.
closed meetings. And yeah, there's just a sample script at the back
Yeah.
that I did, just so that the mayor or whoever's chairing the meeting can follow what we're supposed to be doing. That's it. But yeah, I have not heard back from them. I sent it to them last week and I just have not heard back from them yet.
Okay. Thank you.
So how would we like to proceed?
You have the motion on the floor, so you would have to do a vote.
Okay, I'll read the motion. Motions from Byron Paredes, Councillor, and Councillor N. Butwell, that council refer the staff to the closed session protocol and attach this to the report until such time as the closed meeting investigator provides their report. All in favor? Opposed?
Jeff, you're not.
Hmm.
You have to vote one way or the other, abstain.
Yeah. I apologize. I know that I should have voted there. It's not clear to me at this point why we would defer if it's just about the script. It does seem like everything substantive in the report came from the Integrity Commission, which I did not know before we had this conversation.
We can refer it to staff. And then I can get them to give me something in writing, say whether or not it meets their standards or whatever. And then I can bring it to the August meeting instead of waiting for them to come in September, if you would like to do that instead.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So in that case, I vote in favor.
Brian, I think.
Mayor, you go ahead.
Thank
Oh.
you. I'm fine. Let's just vote.
So
So just refer it to the August meeting until, so here, let me.
we'll just put that in.
just accept.
Point of order. The motion on the floor, right, which is the one that you have, needs to be voted on and voted for or voted down, correct?
Right, before we make any more.
Before we make any more changes.
So just vote with what is on there. And if you get,
Sorry, start to,
So just
we didn't,
for a vote.
we didn't.
we didn't make any changes to what you've already read out, so you can just ask for a vote.
Okay, this is on the first, yeah, without the changes. Okay, so can we do that vote again? or not again, or continue the vote, whatever. Let's do it again so we can get a. I
Yeah,
will read
we
it one
just
more
asked
time.
Jeff how he's
Okay.
voting.
Hold on, point of order, recorded vote.
Okay. Do that. Counselor Ann Butwell,
Yes.
Counselor Byron Fredis,
Yes.
Counselor Emily Rowling.
No.
Counselor Bobby Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander,
No.
Deputy Mayor Ron Anderson,
No.
sorry, I skipped Counselor Jeff Wielden.
Thank you. With the understanding of what the alternative is, no. But we can make another motion. Yeah. Sure. So no,
No?
no.
Okay. All right, so that's defeated. Now you want me to write a new motion?
Yeah. I would happily move. All the same, except to refer to staff to get an answer from the Integrity Commissioner before the August meeting.
So Jeff, you're moving
I'm moving. Yeah.
and a seconder. Ann,
Thank you, Ann.
I'm just gonna read it. That council refer to staff report until staff receives acknowledgement and approval of the protocol by the meeting investigator. Because I don't know if I get it back by August or not.
I
that okay?
understand that. Okay.
We need to record it. No.
No, I don't, you want to record a vote again?
Ask a question to staff.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to ask this to the clerk. Do you expect anything to change in the report that we already have?
No. Counselor Ann Butwell,
Yes.
Counselor Byron Fredis,
Yes.
Counselor Emily Rowley,
No.
Counselor Jeff Wielden,
Yes.
Counselor Bobby Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Ostrander,
No.
Deputy Mayor Ron Anderson.
No.
It's carried.
Okay. All right, the next item is closed meeting protocol.
No,
No.
next one is the public meetings. Open public meeting,
Oh,
9.5.
I thought it went, that's where, oh.
No.
Sorry, Clerk's Department, open public meeting, terms of reference for strategic planning review team and committee of council review team. The council receives staff report regarding the creation of terms of reference for open meetings, policy changes, strategic planning review team and committee of council review team. And the council approved the recommendations from staff to change the name of the strategic review team to Strategic Plan Review Working Group. And further, that council approve the attached terms of reference for the Strategic Plan Review Working Group. That, okay. I have a motion from Councillor Wright and seconded by Councillor Butwell that council receive a staff report regarding the creation of terms of reference for open meetings, policy changes, strategic planning review team, and committee of council review team, and refer until procedure policies are reviewed. All those in favor? What's that? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you, given that the work of both of these review teams is essentially completed and unlikely to be required for the rest of the term of council, I'm not sure why we just don't disband the two review teams. There's a little bit of work left to be done on the strategic plan, but we can call a special meeting of council or special meeting of council and go into committee of the whole to deal with that last little bit of strategic planning. I don't anticipate the committee review team will be required. The last piece of that is to bring forward members for the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusivity Committee, but we can receive that information enclosed from staff and make those decisions again as a whole council. So I guess I don't fully understand why we'd go down this road when we're really ready to wrap it up anyway.
Councillor Wright.
My understanding of a point of referral is that there is no debate or opinion, that it just moves to referral. The reason why I put this forward is because there's been a lot of cart before the horse with this committee. And while I agree that we've done some great work, I just want to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's properly and with proper procedures so that going forward, we're a little bit more aware of what we're doing. So that's why that, but motion refer is not really about debate and opinion.
It's referred. Okay.
We'll just call a vote.
Could you read the motion again, please?
All right. The council
Refers.
okay. The council refers staff report, the staff report regarding the creation of terms of reference for open meetings, policy changes, strategic planning review team, and committee of council review team, and refer until procedure policies are reviewed.
The procedural bylaw is reviewed. Yeah.
The procedure.
Deferring a vote or deferring a report or a recommendation has no debate. Referring anything can be debated.
At the end of the day, who are what are we deferring? Are we referring? And if we're referring, to whom are we referring it to? And if we're deferring, I understand the deferral is till after we deal with the procedural bylaw.
That's what they're wanting to do.
Very well, thank you.
So it's defer.
Yep. And then just. So call a vote.
Okay. May I have a vote? All those in favor?
Byron.
To the chair, thank you. And
Go
just
ahead.
before we vote, I guess I concur with the mayor. Both of these committees or teams, or what do you want to call them, are kind of wrapping up. But my concern is that going forward, they needed to be treated the same. So if one's a working group, then the other should be a working group. And if one has the terms of reference, then the other should have a term of reference so that we don't get into this dilemma again. And I say that with all due respect, the CRT is not quite finished yet. It still has to get the JEDI committee going, and it does have a few spots on some committees that need to be addressed. So there is a little bit more activity coming from that team or working group or whatever we're going to call it. So I would just like to see them both treated the same way. If they require terms of reference, then they should both have them.
Councillor Butwell.
Thank you, Chair. As I understand it, a working group is the same thing as a subcommittee of a committee of council. So if we are to rename them as a working group, they have to be a working group of something, not, they can't be of themselves. So renaming them doesn't get us around anything. If I think that the idea is to ensure that these committees and subcommittee working groups of something are, that we're doing everything properly in alignment with the procedural bylaw.
So what,
And so we're looking to defer, it essentially has the same outcome until such time as we complete our procedural bylaw review. And I just wasn't sure what Councillor Fredis was asking there.
Go ahead, Counselor.
To the chair, I wasn't really asking for anything other than that both committees be treated the same. This is all focused around the strategic plan review team, working group, whatever you want to call it. And I was simply reminding everybody that it starts out talking about the CRT and the strat plan team. And then all of a sudden the CRT disappears from the discussion, and it needs to be treated the same way. If one needs a term of reference, then the other needs a term of reference. That's my whole point. And I do concur with the mayor. They are both winding down, but they are not complete yet. So if we need to do one thing for strat plan to get to completion, we should be doing the same thing for CRT to get to completion, because its job is not quite done yet.
so the,
Although I understand we can do some of the stuff directly in council.
so the committee review team is put together through a policy that was put in place by council. Also, it's in our procedural bylaw that they review, the council reviews the committees. Each new term of council reviews the committees. That's why they strike this little committee. But then it was brought to my attention by the investigator that it still constitutes an open meeting because you have council sitting on it. If council was not sitting on it, then it wouldn't constitute an open meeting, but because council is. So following our procedures for committees, we always have a terms of reference. However, we do have resolutions passed by council for both of these working groups saying what the mandate is and what they will be doing in their short-term committees. But they still need to be open public meetings. So that's why we did this. And the reason why in my report, I said that we would bring the council committee review team back during policy, because it's in our policy that we do that. So I wasn't wanting to strike a terms of reference for that committee at this point. I would rather review it through the policy and how we're going to go forward with it that way, because it has to, because the policy has to be amended, right? So no matter what, it has to be amended, and then we can put a terms of reference together at that point. That's why I did it the way that I did it. So now what's on the floor though is that that this be referred or deferred back to staff until such a time. You wanted it referred back to staff until we do the procedural policy, procedural bylaw and the policies. So that's not debatable. So we just have to vote for that now.
And you vote? It's the same.
Because there's a motion on the table to refer it or defer it back to staff. So you have to do a motion. You have to read the motion out and call for a vote.
Deputy Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead, Mayor.
the purpose behind a referral and a deferral being non-debatable is usually intended after you read a full motion. And then someone would put a motion to refer or defer on the table after you've had an opportunity to read the motion, the original motion, and then debate that motion, and then have an opportunity to say, hey, we need a second here, or we need more information, or whatever. That's not what's happened here tonight. What's happened here tonight is the mover has taken opportunity to revise the original motion, the originally intended motion, which was to receive the staff report. And so no opportunity has been well, I mean, you, Deputy Mayor, provided opportunity for this discussion, but it would be inappropriate for us just to vote on it without discussion. So I'm glad we've had this opportunity to have this discussion. But I just want to point out the purpose behind a referral is usually after you've had some discussion on a motion, and then you decide, hey, you need more time or you need more information, and then you refer or defer. Not this, not the way we've done it tonight, which is trying to, essentially skip ahead of any discussion.
I think we're having a learning curve, and thank you. Councillor Butwell, you have a question.
Through the chair. So the motion was left on my desk. I didn't have any part in writing it, but I was asked to bring the motion to the floor. I didn't agree with it, and I went to the clerk and asked what my options were, and the clerk instructed me. So it's not about co-opting a process. It was about being asked to bring a motion that I didn't agree with. And this is just one of those ways that it can be dealt with.
Yeah, fair enough, Councillor. But I wasn't sorry, I wasn't intending to point fingers at anyone. I was just suggesting that it would be okay to have further discussion given the issue around the table here.
Councillor Butwell.
Through the chair, I appreciate that, Mayor Ostrander. I think that's why I didn't stop the discussion after the motion to refer had been placed, because I am aware that there is no debate. So I thought I would just let it run its course and allow the chair to direct that. Thank you.
So I can read this,
So you can go ahead with that.
read the motion again.
I will.
Okay, the motion is moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Butwell, that the council defer the staff report regarding the creation of terms of reference for open meetings, policy changes, strategic planning review team and committee of council review team, and refer until procedure policies are reviewed. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone.
May I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Mayor, don't chuckle. I see that.
No, I'm not saying anything.
So what does this do? How does this hold up our strategic planning? We're in the middle of something and now we're going to be holding this up until we get this all fixed up with staff, correct? So it might be next year. Thank you.
I don't know how that will work, but we'll listen. We'll hear from Councillor Wilden.
Sure. As I understand it, Councillor Rowley, we will just carry on as we have been without making any changes to these things until we know exactly which changes to make according to the updated policies that are already in the works. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
My suggestion is you call a special meeting of council and you have your meeting for strategic planning.
I'd like that anyway. So, yeah.
So that's what we're going to look for. Is that okay, Councillor Rowley? That's what we'll look for. We've passed this motion, so we'll move on. Mayor, you got something? No? Did I see some movement down there? No. Okay. What's that? Yes, notice of motions. And no unfinished business, and that takes us to bylaws. A bylaw to control the regulate the vehicular travel in the municipality of Brighton. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading, and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 103-2021, a bylaw to control and regulate vehicular travel in the municipality of Brighton. I'll read the motion. I just did, but I didn't say who they were from, so maybe I'll Motion was from Counselor Butwell and seconded by Byron Ferrettis. So I've read the motion. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Yeah. Garrison. And the next motion here is the council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date to being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation and the municipality of Brighton and Black and McDonald Limited for streetlights on Sharp Road. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? No? Carried. Next motion is moved by Jeff Wilden, Counselor, and Counselor Rowley, seconded. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement between the corporation of the municipality of Brighton and Royal Crown Construction for a new sidewalk and crosswalk on Young Street. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Our next motion moved by Counselor Butwell and seconded by Byron Ferrettis. The council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw of corporation of the municipality of Brighton for the management, regulation, and control of Mount Hope Cemetery. All those in favor? No one opposed? Carried. And we'll move through these pretty quick. Moved by Counselor Wright and seconded by Counselor Wilden. The council adopted June 29th, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes as presented or amended as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Our next one is moved by Councilor Raleigh and seconded by Councilor Wilden. The council received the Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting minutes, April 12th, 2023, as presented. All those in favor? Carried. The next item is moved by Councilor Wilden and seconded by Councilor Raleigh. The council received the May 30th, 2023 Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? No, no one. Carried. Next is moved by Councilor Wilden and seconded by Councilor Rowley. The council received the April 28th, 2023 Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Wright and seconded by Councilor Wilden. The council received the May 9th, 2023 task force to commemorate the 1973 tornado meeting minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried. And next, moved by Councilor Wright, seconded by Councilor Wilden. The council received the Community Events and Awards Advisory Committee meeting minutes of June 6, 2023 as presented. All in favor? Carried. And moved by Councilor Butwell and seconded by Byron Ferrettis, that council received the Applefest Advisory Committee meeting minutes from June 21st, 2023 as presented. All in favor? Carried. And we have a motion from Councilor Ann Butwell, seconded by Byron Fredes, that council received the May 25th, 2023 Rural Advisory Committee meeting minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried. Motion moved by Councilor Rowley, seconded by Councilor Wielden, that council receive the June 5th, 2023 Heritage Committee meeting minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried. And moved by Councilor Jeff Wilden and seconded by Councilor Raleigh, the council directs staff to investigate having the spelling of Drury Street be corrected to the proper spelling of Drury Street, Drewry. And that staff advise any Google type maps of the change. Very important. All in favor? Carried. Oh, thank you. Sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
That's okay. As part of staff's investigation, I would hope that we would check on how many homes, businesses, institutions are on Drury and the cost to them to make those changes in that name. Keeping in mind that part of our heritage is in fact the misspelling of this road. So be it a good heritage or a bad heritage, I just don't want anybody to be unduly punished financially for having to change their address if we decide to change this road name. So I know there's no request for a staff report to come back, but I would like to see one come to council before we make any decisions.
A point there too, post office uses street names in Smithfield now. They used to use box numbers and things like that. They do use street names too, so that may have something to do with the post office too. You know, we will carry on with the correction if all those are in favor.
May I ask a question then? Should we add an amendment to that? Then that gets looked into as staff is doing it, or did staff just get the message?
Well, we can. The clerk says staff got the message, so do you want to move on this? Okay, you've heard the motion. Are all those in favor? Carried. All right, Byron Fredes, councillor, has made a motion with seconded by Councillor Butwell, that council directs staff to develop a web page with a list of historical heritage plaques within the community, along with a map showing the locations of historical heritage plaques. I believe we're going to do the motion here, but I can speak on it first. I believe the Heritage Committee is already done doing that. No? It's from there, yeah, okay. Oh, I guess they just wanting to make sure it gets done, yeah. Okay, so all in favor? Sorry, Councillor. But what, did you have a comment?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Instead of developing a whole separate webpage, this possibly could be developed as part of the Brighton webpage so that we are the landing page. Is that what they're meaning? Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anyhow, it's a good idea. Great. So all in favor? Carried. Our next motion is moved by I'm not sure whose signature that one is. Somebody must have slipped when they wrote that one.
Yeah, hold on. You want to
Okay.
Because it was amended.
Oh, is this one?
There's two,
That's Jeff's?
this is. That's your signature, right, Councilor Raleigh? Yep.
It's different now that you got back.
Okay, so start with that
All
one,
right.
and it's Emily. That is Emily.
Yeah, he's changing. He's getting angry.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Moving right along, we've got a motion from Byron Paredes, Councillor, seconded by Councillor Raleigh. The council received the Councillor Wheeldon's report regarding the sustainability coordinator position. And now, Jeff, you have the floor.
Thank you. I wrote this report because this issue has come up in a number of different ways. We first discussed it at budget time. And we didn't come to a conclusion of that discussion. And then it's come up again through strategic planning. The last page of the strategic plan is all environment and sustainability goals. And those came from the public as well as from council, and the CAO has included that there. And now the Environmental Sustainability Committee is recommending that a position be created in order to fulfill the function of a sustainability officer. But I recognized when that came forward that there's a lot to that role that has not been thoroughly examined by council, and I can't expect anyone on council or staff to know exactly what that means. And so I took the liberty of preparing a report. I know it was long, and I appreciate your patience in reading through it. There are, I'll just briefly outline it. The issue of climate adaptation and mitigation is vast. It involves changing virtually everything, from the way that we build, where we build in terms of our planning policies, but also materials, retrofits, upgrades, new infrastructure, but also internal policies and access or liaising with external agencies, other levels of government, et cetera. It's a massive task that gets reduced to 2 points on the back of the strategic plan, which is prepare a sustainability plan and develop a climate change strategy. Now, originally there had been more things on that list. The CAO put together that it had included a land and habitat preservation plan, environmental/planning policy, energy and energy conservation plan, ecosystem restoration and conservation plan, as well as climate change strategy and sustainability plan. And I mentioned to the CAO that many of these things would fall under those last two. The sustainability plan would include land and habitat preservation, environmental planning policy, energy and energy conservation, ecosystem restoration. But it also includes many other things, such as a flood mitigation strategy, a heat wave mitigation strategy, drought and wildfire mitigation. Councillor Rowley earlier was telling me about her visit to Nova Scotia this past week, where in some places the ground is black and still stinks, and yet they're currently underwater. So many municipalities throughout Canada and Ontario have already taken a lead on trying to get ahead of these issues. And so in some cases, that means reducing the amount of greenhouse gas emissions so that climate change doesn't get demonstrably worse. And in other cases, it means adapting the way that we do things so that we are more resilient in the face of these kinds of disasters, so that they are less costly when they do occur. Now, I included in the report a link to the City of London, Ontario, which has put together a financial report about this. The link was actually broken in the PDF that I put out, but I did circulate to council a better link on Sunday. My apologies for that. In this report, London looks at several Ontario municipalities that have done the analysis, the financial analysis specifically, about how much it would cost in order to adequately address climate change through going to a low carbon economy, low carbon models of all of their municipal fleets, municipal buildings, retrofits on a large scale, and including those from residents as well, upgrading, retrofitting their homes, et cetera. And I'll just give you a few examples. When Burlington did the numbers, they looked at their expenditures, projected expenditures between 2020 and 2050, and found that they would save over $6 billion over that period by investing heavily in a low carbon alternative to business as usual. It costs more to do nothing than it does to do something. The same was found in Ottawa, Toronto. This report from London goes into a lot of these different municipalities, just showing that they've done the math, and they rely on also information from the economics department at Queen's University. So the cost of doing nothing is higher than the cost of doing something. Now, that said, it's not as if there's no cost. It does take a lot of staff time. And the question becomes, are we going to ask staff that we have to do this off the side of their desk in every department? We're looking at things such as major changes in infrastructure that would be put on Director Whiteman to coordinate and honestly to take on a new aspect of his portfolio that to date he probably doesn't have a lot to handle. Likewise for Director Walsh in the planning department, there's a lot of policy changes that would need to be coordinated between departments as well. And same with economic development. In some cases, there are, for example, energy projects that would be part of these types of plans to ensure that we are resilient in the case of another tornado. Reports recently said that Canada's Tornado Alley has moved to Eastern Ontario from the prairies. Are we resilient in terms of, are we going to have a blackout during a heat wave if there happens to be a major storm, or do we have local energy stores available? Those types of projects are really important to our resiliency and public safety. And there's tremendous amount of funding out there for it. I'm not sure that it's fair to put all of that on our economic development department, because it's quite a departure from getting new tenants in the industrial park and improving our downtown. One person in a department that can liaise in all of these departments, orient them toward these opportunities and objectives, and write grants for those, but also to liaise with the public in terms of helping people understand where they can get their home energy retrofit grants, things like that. When I was at the FCM Sustainable Cities Conference back in February, I spoke with someone from Durham region whose entire salary is covered by a grant, and his job is to liaise with residents and help them to access that kind of federal and provincial funding. So in many ways, this type of position could quickly pay for itself, not just in terms of investment brought into the community, but also in terms of their actual salary being potentially covered by existing grants. So it is potentially a big cost. This type of position typically ranges between $65,000 and $120,000. And the range there really reflects how there's no pure standard in terms of what to do with a climate plan. For some people, a climate plan means we're going to measure our greenhouse gas emissions and try and, without making significant changes, we're going to try and find ways to reduce those over time. Now, in 2010, Port Hope being the most local example of a climate strategy, Port Hope put a climate strategy in place that was more or less that in 2010. And they had some limited success, but that's really the smallest part of what this type of role could do. And so my concern as this proposal comes forward, or this resolution comes forward from the Environmental Sustainability Committee, is that we receive this and support this, not just with an idea of we can do the bare minimum and check a box. And I also want to make it really clear that this is not just Jeff's thing. There are people here supporting us tonight. Thank you. I appreciate that. But this is also a very widespread thing that we are lagging on. Port Hope has dedicated $95,000 this year to redoing their climate strategy because they recognize that it is insufficient, it is expired. But other municipalities in other counties, in other regions have done far, far more. They have blazed the trail. They have figured out what can work. And the mid to upper level of the salary spectrum for such a position recognizes that it requires expertise in environmental studies, environmental science sometimes. There are different sort of qualifications that this position can include, in some cases, even psychology and communications and a lot of different things. And so if council is to suggest that that staff follow through and hire somebody for a position like this, my hope is that we can look at the sheer scope of this and recognize that it's not something that we want to do halfway. It's something that the opportunity to get those big gains, not only in our own resilience and safety, but also in terms of the financial benefits of doing more rather than doing less. I think it's something that is worthy of investment. And so that's why I've included all of these reports. I hope they're clear to everyone, and I'm happy to take any questions on them.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? Councilor Paredes?
Through the chair to Councillor Whelan, thank you. Councillor Whelan, I've read your report and I found a number of things in there rather interesting. I'm a bit of a techie guy and I love innovation and stuff, but I do have a couple of concerns that I thought I would share. First off, I think us making a decision on this is probably a little premature until we finalize the strat plan. My recollection of the strat plan is a little different than yours. I didn't see a complete buy-in to this at that point. Many of the locations that you cite as having done the studies are considerably larger than Brighton, from 8 to 67 times our size. And I'll give you an example that particularly concerns me. You talked about installing technologies to make Brighton more energy resilient, such as electricity storage, either pump storage or battery storage. And since you first turned me on to the thing, I've spent a fair bit of time researching it. And I'm fascinated by the technology, but I'm also staggered by some of the factors that I've learned. First off, pump storage and battery storage are the exclusive domain of the IEOS. There is no municipal role in that. They simply tell us they're coming here and it's up to us to embrace it or reject it, but they make that determination. There is no place for this officer or this person to have an impact on that. Additionally, those projects range from 1.3 to 3.5 billion, although I understand Marmora has now gone to 4.3 billion. A fairly significant cost overrun. That's not something we can afford to fund. Over and above that, these facilities at best provide 8 hours of standby power. They use 20% of their own power generation to run the pumps to put the water back into the upper reservoir. Additionally, we don't have the topography to support it. At first, I was fascinated by the fact that we have a body of water and we have some hilly countryside, but the sheer technological part of it is you need a minimum 200-meter drop or 700 feet, and we don't have that based on all the topographical maps I've looked at for Brighton. So I don't see it being a home for this sort of technology, and I'm having difficulty justifying why we'd invest in an officer or an official to try and pursue something for all of those reasons that wouldn't apply here. If we were talking about simply looking at something that was more within our bailiwick, i.e. making our own municipal buildings more energy efficient. I understand our arena is a fairly significant consumer of power. Making that more energy efficient, I could see some merit in it, but I'm not sure that we need to hire a full-time person to do that. I think if we retain somebody with expertise in the area, they could guide us down that road. So those are just some of my preliminary comments.
Thank you, Myron. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. Okay, we'll let the mayor go ahead.
No, I think it would be appropriate for Councillor Wheeldon to respond, and then I'll make my comments, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. Councillor Paredes, as much as I am absolutely fascinated by pump storage, that is just one example out of many, out of dozens of things that other municipalities are doing in different places. It is not in any way a linchpin. It's just something I think is really neat. But in terms of the IESO, they are Ontario's energy regulator, and I've been to presentations by them in which they ask municipalities to contact them to indicate that we are open to working with them on these types of projects. I've been attending these types of things myself. Not that I'm in any way able to represent the municipality of Brighton, because I'm not on staff and I'm not the head of council, but I've been going just because I want somebody in Brighton to be going. Because we don't have a person to be going to those. Likewise, every week I get an email from the grant writer for Northumberland County, and she always indicates which grants are new. And so I keep track of which grants are new and who can apply for them. And whenever there's something in energy and sustainability and climate action, I look into it, and inevitably they are looking for a level of internal capacity to be able to write that grant, to be able to prepare for a project. There's $1.5 billion in the Green Municipal Fund, for example. And I've heard from the board members of the Green Municipal Fund who say, we can't give this money away because there are not enough people asking for it. Not enough municipalities have the internal capacity to be able to actually apply for these grants. So there's a lot of money that's available, and I can forward them to Director Walsh and Director Whiteman until the cows come home. But if it's not in the strategic plan, and if it's not, and if we lack the internal capacity in other ways, we're just not ready to receive money. And I would like us to be ready to receive money. So, whether or not we do pump storage or battery storage or solar or wind, or just double down on energy efficiency retrofits. There is a grant that covers, you mentioned the arena, there's a grant that covers the cost of the study to determine how to get a net zero arena. And then there's another grant to actually implement the study. And so the study itself is $36,000, and the grant covers $35,000. And if we had somebody to write that grant, we could get the study more or less for free. And then after that, if we had somebody to apply for the other grants using the study that shows how to apply for those grants, then we could get our new arena and immediately begin reaping the rewards of energy savings that would pay for any expenditure of salary or something like that for this type of position. And so it really is, it's a gateway to a whole lot of things. And I think that if we want to do this part way, and if we want to do a little bit here and a little bit there, then I think it's fair to put that on staff, our existing staff, and say, hey, here's some opportunities, and I can keep forwarding stuff that I come across. But if we want to have a coordinated strategy that is going to maximize our investment and get better returns, and make a bigger difference for the safety and resilience of our residents, I think it's worthwhile having somebody who can champion that on our staff and make sure that we have those shovel-ready projects and internal capacity for grant writing that can get it done.
Yes, Mayor, we haven't forgot about you.
Well, I'm thankful for that, Deputy Mayor, and through you. Appreciate the information provided, Councillor Wheeldon. I think it's it's valuable for council to truly consider all of these things. And I think there's room to figure out how we can put a position like this in the municipality, be it through a staffing level or a contract position. I'm not sure how we can work through it, but I guess I would concur with Councillor Ferretis's comment that we should probably finish off the strategic plan, get staff to then provide us with how we're going to implement those strategic goals, including the position that we're speaking of tonight. So I'd like to see us wrap up that strategic plan as quickly as possible. Certainly happy to endorse the Sustainability Committee's wish to have sustainability initiatives included in the strategic plan. I think we do see quite a lot of them, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what next steps look like. But I know staff will keep in mind all of the information presented in your report. I appreciate it.
Jeff, you made an interesting comment there about grant writing. Quinny West just advertised for grant writer. And I noticed a couple of other communities were doing the same thing. So that's something that we should possibly be having someday. And I know we have a member of our staff now that will be leaving us in the next number of months. It was excellent at doing grant writing, but I won't mention his name. But anyway, it's something that we should have too, wherever we go with this is you're right. If 95% of something is covered, it sure gives you the motivation to move ahead and get some things done, right? So that could be discussed too at another time. Councillor Wright, go ahead.
Just a question to Jeff through you. For a grant writer, even if it wasn't somebody that could take on a position right now entirely to do with sustainability, if that grant writer was to kind of take over grant writing for the municipality as a whole, incorporating sustainability, and then at such time that the position becomes too big, then it could branch out into a full-time position or a sustainability grant writer.
Through you,
Go
Chair.
ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. The grant writing is certainly part of it, and it's a really important part of it. The other part of it is the environmental expertise to know what type of projects are appropriate for Brighton, what types of things are needed here. There are, as I said, there were originally 7 plans the CAO had included on the back page of the strategic plan. Those types of plans need to be written by somebody who has that expertise. And so there would be the option of us hiring consultants to do those types of reports. Consultants exist and are plentiful. So that's a possibility. But then we end up with a situation where, we have a report from a consultant telling us what we should do. And we perhaps have a grant writer who's able to apply for funding for it. Do we have the internal capacity then to do the environmental work that would be suggested by that? And that's where, I lack the expertise to say yes or no. And I would refer that back to staff. But the spirit of this is to increase internal capacity to make those kinds of calls and to be able to implement whatever strategies come forward.
Jeff, I have a question. What about, it was mentioned a couple of times tonight, I know the mayor mentioned it, contracting it out for a period of 1 year to see what can be established, not the contract writer so much as the environmental person or the person that's got in the know with ideas and projects that can carry our strategic plan forward and on a contract basis.
Well, I would certainly defer to the CAO regarding staffing and organizational design, but my concern with consultants in general is that we end up paying more for the same work, and we hire them over and over and over again. We end up with reports that if we lack the internal capacity on an ongoing basis, because we're not talking about a 1-year project here, we're talking about changing the way we do everything. So it is a very, very long-term plan. And so the question becomes, are we going to hire somebody who is around just long enough to produce reports that we then allow to languish on a shelf somewhere because we don't have what we need internally to do anything with it? I am cautious of that because we get complaints all the time about how many reports we have sitting on shelves.
I understand you're talking about jumping in with both feet, though. That's what you're talking about. And, but Councillor Freitas, go ahead.
To the chair, thank you. I thought I heard somewhere that the county was looking at creating this position. And I'm wondering if, to use the old adage, you got to crawl before you run. It might not be more appropriate for us to allow the county to take the lead on this initiative, and perhaps broaden out a set of guidelines and operating parameters that they can distribute to the lower tier, that we can then start to execute and implement that's more in keeping with our size and our scale, rather than us jumping in, as the deputy mayor said, with both feet. Now, perhaps if I may ask the mayor the question, are you aware that whether or not the county has or is planning to bring in this sort of individual?
Mayor, can you answer that?
I can answer that it's been budgeted for. I don't know that the position has been hired yet. I can ask that question though. I would just also say that a Northumberland County Sustainability Officer would be focused on Northumberland County issues, and I don't know for sure, but I doubt that there would be for one person the capacity to offer a shared service to the lower tiers. I think we're talking about a lot of work here for one person, even in a small municipality, let alone at the county level. Not saying for sure that that's true, but unlike things like IT, which has a full department at the county and is able to offer services down to the lower tiers, I don't think one person at the county in a sustainability position would be able to do that. But I can't say for sure. I'm not even sure the person's been hired. I'm not even sure the position's been posted, to tell you the truth.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. I would concur, Mayor Ostrander, that what the county would do in such a position would not necessarily mean much for Brighton. Hopefully, it would be able to provide some leadership and coordination among member municipalities. But the county did have someone in this position, Judy Smith-Torrey, who the mayor once interviewed along with myself on this podcast. And Judy's position was cut short. But during that time, I think it was during that time, one example of a sustainability initiative, Northumberland County hired Municipal Natural Asset Initiative to evaluate their natural assets. Now, that's something that the province is now requiring all lower tier municipalities to do for our own properties. And when Northumberland County did it, they did it just for Northumberland County properties, which was more or less just the Northumberland Forest. And you can find the report on the MNAI website. We're going to be required to do that type of work for our assets here and make that part of our asset management plan. And what a sustainability plan would do is actually extend that not just to municipal properties, but also to properties within our municipal boundaries that are not owned by the municipality. And there are a ton of benefits to that, including giving us more information about the value of lands that come before us on planning meetings. So, for example, when we are asked to weigh in on the best interests of the community in terms of whether or not a certain site should be developed, we are given a lot of information regarding how much money is being spent on building how many units for how many people, with how much infrastructure spending, development costs, long-term costs, and long-term benefits, but there's no valuation of the land itself in a natural or rehabilitated state. Whereas we know that actually a wetland has tremendous value, not just in terms of habitat, but in terms of air quality, water quality, flood mitigation, things like that. We have nothing in our system right now that gives us any valuation of that. And so this type of position would give us internal capacity to be able to say, okay, as part of this study that we're required to do anyway, we're going to expand its scope so that it can give us better information about the value of that tree that just got cut down, or the grove of trees that is, that might yet be cut down if it's presumed to have no value, if that makes sense.
Okay, does anyone else have anything they want to speak on this? Shall I read the motion again? Whose hands up? Mayor, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, just a quick point of clarification on the former position at the county, as noted by Councillor Wielden a moment ago. It wasn't cut short. It was a term position. It was a very specific goal-oriented position. And in fact, the county extended the position so that the goals could be met. I just wanted to be clear that the county didn't yank the rug out from anyone's feet or anything like that.
My apologies.
All right, I will read the motion again and then we can move on. I'll just read it again from moved by Councillor Paredes, seconded by Councillor Rowley. The council received Councillor Wielden's report regarding a sustainability coordinator position. All in favor? Carried. Don't go away, there's more motions. Next motion is up from Councillor Rowley, as seconded by Councillor Paredes. The council upholds sustainability as a core principle for the development of the 2023 strategic plan and of all planning moving forward. All those in favor? No one opposed? Carried. My next motion's from Councillor Wielden and seconded by, it looks like Emily Raleigh. Signature. Anyhow, it is. Councillors direct staff to create and fill the position of sustainability officer as soon as possible with the goal of drafting a sustainability action plan to be implemented in this term of council.
Excuse me, Deputy Mayor, I did not second that motion.
Okay. I'm sorry, Bobby. All right, so we're gonna start over again, and this is a motion by Jeff Wielden, Councillor Jeff Wielden, and seconded by Councillor Wright. The council directs staff to create and fill the position of sustainability officer as soon as possible with the goal of drafting a sustainability action plan to be implemented in this term of council. All those in favor? Opposed?
I wouldn't mind some discussion around the motion before we vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't finish the vote, so let's have that discussion. So would anyone like to lead the way, Mayor?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you. As I noted, we haven't finished up our strategic plan yet. It seems to me this is important and likely to be something that flows directly out of the strategic plan, and certainly given Councillor Wielden's report to us, that can be included with all the information that staff can bring together. I would anticipate that once we finalize our strategic plan, staff would want to bring to us their goals and objectives and work plans on how we move forward with our strategic plan, and that something like this would be incorporated in that. I'm happy to, I would be pleased if council was to support this recommendation from sustainability in principle and refer it to staff for a future report after we have completed the strategic plan. And I'm not trying to hold anything up here, but I think in terms of getting the process together properly, that it makes a lot of sense that we finish up our strategic plan first and then get these items buttoned down after.
Anyone else? Council Paredes?
To the chair, thank you. I concur with the mayor. I think it's premature to do it before we've completed the strat plan. I have my notes here from the last discussion. It's all marked draft. We had a rather fulsome discussion debating the priorities and the categories and that sort of stuff. My takeaway was we still have another fulsome discussion or two to reach consensus on that. And I think it's only fair that once we have that, then we look at this recommendation. And that'll help us determine the size and the scope.
Yeah, I
Councillor
wanted
Riley,
to,
go.
yeah, I want to concur with my colleagues on the same. We have a lot of initiatives coming up out of this strategic plan, and I think even though I appreciate the concerns with and the importance of all of this, but I think we need to wait till we get that all done and prioritize all of the other projects, namely that we have coming down the pipe.
Anyone else? So can we suggest, do we change this to what's that?
Well, Deputy Mayor, I would simply put a motion on the floor that this motion be referred to staff for a report following the completion of the strategic plan.
It's okay. I'm good with that.
Okay, so refer to staff. Completion of strategic plan. I was going to say that the council requests the staff after completion of the strat plan to filling the position of sustainability. Okay. How would you like to reword this? Jeff, if you're the mover.
Sure, that we defer this to, or refer this to staff to report back to council after the completion of the strategic plan.
Okay. The council refer to the staff and complete after completion of this strategic plan. Period. Okay. All in favor of that? Okay, good. Carried. I'll just get to take that bottom part. Okay. A motion here from Councillor Butwell and seconded by Councillor Paredes. The council receives the report from the chair of the Brighton Police Service Board. Lou, would you like to come up, please? Welcome, Lou.
Deputy Mayor, I can't hear the esteemed chair of our Police Services Board.
How's that, your worship?
It's
We weren't,
fantastic.
we weren't trying to cut you out or anything.
No.
Anyways, the reason I'm here tonight is you know that for the last almost 8 years, there's a process in place to have a detachment police services board with 5 municipalities. So I'm pretty sure you're up to speed on that. If not, part of my reason to be here tonight. So the process has been very slow. And I also circulated, or the clerk circulated a letter we got from the Attorney General just this week that it's getting even slower. But we're not going to give up. So we're at a stage where we're trying to do as much as we can before the regulations come down. Because until regulations come down, we really don't know where the dots are and where the that cross the T's. But we're anticipating, we've got approval, as you've seen the letter that we circulated today, that our structure is accepted by the province. And so one of the first steps is to establish a new board. So I'm really here tonight to, and the whole formation of the new board is a 10-member board, as my report indicates. And there's 1 member from council from each 5 municipalities. And so I'm here tonight to as chair of the Police Services Board for Brighton, to suggest or recommend that Mayor Ostrander, that's been sitting on the Police Service Board for a number of years, would continue as the municipal representative. I suspect, or we suspect, there's a lot of work to form a new board, or the new process, I guess. And all the help we can get is very much appreciated. For your information, there's 2 members from the public. I have applied. I haven't got a formal reply yet. But because actually this started when I was in provincial government in 2016. And I supported the concept from Northumberland County. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have. I know you have a busy night, but certainly if you have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Lou, I have a question. Has this slow process created problems or slowed things down for your board, our board?
No, it hasn't slowed anything down. It just says, let's get it done. We got the approval, we got the concept. We were one of the jurisdictions that led the province through the process. Thanks to Dan Basco, he's the chair of the Hamilton Township Police Services Board. He kind of took this to heart. I remember my very first meeting with Dan when we talked about this concept when I was an MPP. So it's just a process, I guess. But as you've seen from the letter we just received, it sounds like maybe 2024. It might be the date that gets implemented, but there's a lot of work to be done because it'll be independent from each municipality, and it'll have its own budget. And yeah, so that's part of the reason. It hasn't hurt anything. I think we still have one of the best police service board anywhere, and we certainly appreciate it. We're in the process of hiring a new chief on Friday.
Oh.
Or the interview is on Friday.
Council Rowley has a question.
Thank you. Just a comment,
Thank you.
Lou. I know when this process first started, there was concern here in Brighton that there wouldn't be much representation from smaller municipalities like ours. So I'm impressed to see that it's gone this way, so that Brighton does have some representation, because like I said, early on, they thought they were really going to shrink it down to very minimal amount of people. And I think the council of the day at that time too thought we would lose our say at the table. So I'm pleased that I know the mayor will certainly speak up for us. I'm pleased to see that. Thank you.
For sure. So yeah, of course, that was one of the sticking points actually, because I hate to bring you the bad news. You're still responsible to pay for it.
Anyone else have any questions for Lou? Or comments? Mayor? Of course. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and through you and to Mr. Rinaldi's point, I think we may have been part of the cause of the slowdown, and now we're saying let's hurry up. And part of our cause of slowdown was to say, folks, if we're paying for these services, we need to make sure that every municipality writing a check has representation on the board, and that's both from a fiduciary responsibility point of view and a social responsibility point of view if your community is being policed by OPP. So really happy that when Lou was in government, he helped us get there, and that this current government has seen its way clear to ensuring that the 5 OPP policed municipalities in the county have representation on this police services board, that the First Nation that also exists within Northumberland County will have representation, and then again 2 community and 2 provincial members as well. So looking forward to this finally happening, and thanking Mr. Rinaldi for his leadership locally, and hopefully he'll be around the table still.
Okay, thank you, Lou. I can move ahead with the motion here. Any other questions? If not, moved by Councillor Butwell and seconded by Councillor Fredis, the council receives the report from the chair of the Brighton Police Services Board, and that further the council appoints Mayor Brian Ostrander to the Consolidated Northumberland Police Services Board as the Municipality of Brighton Council representative. All those in favor? Carried. Congratulations, Mayor. Thank you, Lou. Okay, the next motion is from, again, Councillor Butwell and seconded by Councillor Fredis. The council supports the resolution from the municipality of Port Hope, the resolution of support of the county of Northumberland regarding the public health and opioid overdose crisis. Are all those in favor? Any discussion? Go ahead, Carrie. There we go. Next motion's from Councillor Wright and seconded by Councillor Wilden. The council receive for information a letter of congratulations to the right to a healthy environment from Faye McFarland, Tom Shea, and Bruce Belair, the Blue Dot Northumberland Group. All in favor? Carry. We have another motion here from Councillor Jeff Wilden, seconded by Councillor Raleigh. The council receive for information the County of Northumberland updates for June 26th to July 7th, 2023. All in favor? Carry. Okay, thank you. Any questions? Although I see one person back there. No, no questions. Are there any questions from the gathering? Seeing none, we'll move on. I have another motion. We're not done. Anyhow, this is a motion by Councillor Raleigh, seconded by Jeff Wilden. The council resolves themselves into closed session July 24th, 2023 at 8:16 p.m. pursuant to the Ontario Municipal Act RSO 2001 as amended, subsection 239 to be personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal and board employees, previous human resource matter and follow up from February 2021, 2023, and in closed session. And I have a motion, all in favor? Thank you. Carried. Now, oh, I don't need, yeah. Wow. Nobody here. Right. Yeah. Okay, I'm calling for a 10-minute recess.